Are you ready to amplify your voice and grow your business or a personal brand? Imagine reaching thousands of listeners, sharing your passion, and making an impact, all through your very own podcast. Join our upcoming workshop, Podcasting 101, designed just for you. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, a seasoned professional, or just passionate about sharing your own story, we will equip you with all the tools that you need to start your podcasting journey. Don't miss out. Visit passionatepearls.com/workshops and do secure your spot today. That's passionatepearls.com/workshops. Let's make your voice heard. Do you feel like you're meant for more? That deep within you, there is a passion waiting to define your life's work? Are you ready to make an impact, embrace a mission, and live without regrets? If you believe there is a transformative power within you, eager to be unlocked, then I invite you to join me, Pranali, on the Passionate Pulse podcast Bootstrap Banter series. Together, we'll uncover the secrets to discovering your true passion and making the decisive leap to follow your calling. This podcast is more than just a source of inspiration. It's a toolkit for unlocking your potential and igniting the passion that propels you towards the life that you have always dreamed of. Tune into Passionate Pulse Podcast Bootstrap Banter series and let's embark on this journey of passion and purpose together. Namaskar, welcome to the Bootstrap Banter series from Passionate Pulse Podcast. And I'm your friend Pranali, who is implementing this Bootstrap Banter fundas in her own passion driven projects. And those are the fundas that we are experimenting it out, lively testing it before even we curate to the episodes. We are studying them very thoroughly, deep down, and making sure that those are the experiments that you can also take and think differently, change your mindset, change your passion project game to a very different level, and treat your passion projects as if you're running your own startups, be it in the technical field or be it in a non technical field. It doesn't matter. These are the skeleton fundamentals that we are talking about, and we are looking forward to emerge through this, picking the angle of your own passion, your own heart driven babies that you want to take it further. And I promise these are own fundas that if you start implementing, experimenting out around it, for sure you're going to attain the success. There are different strategies that can be placed around. There can be a different models, and of course, there can be a lot of help that you need it at the stages. We are here to provide you all that help at a skeleton level through passionatepulse.com. Make sure you visit passionatepulse.com and provide your feedback to the contact me form. That way, we can understand what your requirements and we can cater you best through the podcast and through different strategy sessions that happens as a part of a Passionate Pulse meetups. So let's open on to today's new funda after discovering the product market fit and what are some doable steps that every individual can take. Let's focus on as being a creator, being a startup founder, or being a passion project founder. Sometimes we have to drive a very different roles that we have not thought about. As a passion driven founder, the most important hat that you would be wearing or I'll be wearing all the time is a creator's hat. And that hat is something that I related through a very personal space, and that is because that creativity mode, when it comes in, it is such a bliss and it is amazing feeling when you are, pondering all your creative, your innovative ideas. And I call it as a Brahma hat. So in a founder's journey or a passion driven project's journey, you can be a Brahma of your own passion driven projects. And this same Brahma needs to be shifted as a Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, you must have known about. And the way we look at this structure is a Brahma being a creator of this world, Vishnu being the maintenance, who is handling the whole maintenance and running operations very smoothly. And then further ahead, being a Shiva or a transformative head, which can bring a lot of transformations to your passion. And today we are discussing this funda of going from Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh phases. How you can be at one place, being a passion driven project founder, act like all these three almighties that have power, that have passion, that have transformation. And that's the own hat that we are looking out to break down these concepts, being a passion project founder, what all you need to do, and maybe some of the examples which are testament or which have been proven, saying that these are own stages, we have to own it, and these are own stages where we have to walk it as if we are the creator of your own universe. So let's deep dive and see how acting like a creator at a very early stage benefits a passion projects. Of course, vision and ideation is where we are banking on to move further. Thinking about, how we have been creative enough in any field. Basically, the creator hat comes in when there is a vision, when there is an ideation, and there is a heavy innovation capabilities that are pondering around. And the biggest challenge in that phase is when we are dreaming about something, when we are sketching about something, when we are envisioning that this path will go on this massive level, the challenges kicks in that there is not enough research to back in and figure out whether that idea is going to be worked. If you have not heard about the product market fit episode, which we released a week before, go ahead, tune in and see how you can secure on the product market fit, how you can deep dive your research and see your vision and ideation is getting aligned. Because that's the most important step which can help you secure your initial customers, be it a consumer market that you're looking at, or be it as a B2B market that you're looking at. You need to have a potential in your passion driven project to secure the smallest bid where the actual customers are coming and paying you that visit, paying you for your products that you're selling, paying you for the content that you're selling, paying you for anything that you are deriving from your passion driven projects. It can be the products that people can actually experience, or it can be the products that people can actually use it. And also, having another key challenge in making this passion project stand out the most is a fundraising, or bringing in money. Walking that first customer can be your a chance to take a risk and bet on and move further and give you that confidence. And at the same time, some of the personal stories and the touches that as a founder, as a creator, that a passion project can get in to enhance, to make sure that there is a need and there is a personal need that can provide that touch. So when we talk about this, the creator phase of a very early stage startup, there are many stories that I can talk about, but I like to somehow focus about the Canva founder, the Melanie Perkins story here, considering how a Brahma hat can be worn and at the same time finding out your own operational leagues, your own execution leagues to make it big. So, as her story goes, and many of you must have been already aware about her story, I like to reiterate again. She was being a great graphic designer. She used to create these yearly book projects and eventually turn up as a Adobe trainer, where she used to teach a lot of people how to do the graphic designing, how to do different designings, and also her yearly book project that she had started off, where she saw the potential that something like that, if we could bring in through the technology in a very simple format, because right now the tools that we have are very complex in nature, that is having a problem of user adaptability. Why don't we have a product which is easy to use, simple to understand, and any non techie, any non graphic background designer can adopt that product and create their own excellent flyers, excellent graphics. So that was her own need, innate need that she saw when she was in the market, when she was doing that day in and out with her partner. And that's when this idea was born, and she didn't know how to pursue it further until the Biltai, her own investor, walked in to her life. And even to walk in that investor, she literally had to learn the kites flying and so many other things. But it's a remarkable story when it came down as a creator, as a persistent founder to pursue her goal, to pursue her dream, to bring a product alive that need to happen because there is a need. And she pitched this idea to many investors, but the Biltai was the one who gave her the access of mentorship, investment, and also to an extent of the technical co-founder from the Google, who can be an excellent addition to build a platform. Well, rest is the history how she converted and move up. But here we are talking about being a creator hat. Throughout the Canva's life, the most important hat that she decided to wear, and today, even now, as we talk about with the Canva features, as we talk about the Canva community building, as we talk about a different sort of a features that user need to get in, is all her product centric ideas, and all the time wearing a creator hat. That's an excellent example of how somebody can be Brahma in all the stages, thinking about new innovations to happen, new creations to happen, new different touches to be added, along with the mindset of a product that should be usable, easy to move, mold, and even the simple person who can read and write can adopt the features, can adopt the product, and can bring an excellent results to their ventures, starting with the small to mid size or even to the large size. So today, Canva, if you can see, they have massively penetrated for all the content that can go out, and a simple student can access this and create a big impact through Canva graphic designing today. There are no complex skills needs to be enhanced. There are no different trainings to be required, but it is something as a usable, most, we can say, a most dispensable tool at our hands, has given us the power. And looking at how Canva is still building and growing is with all Melanie's creator hat that she has decided to wear all the lifetime of Canva. And that's working. I mean, of course, as a founder, she had to wear multiple hats, starting to learn from the leadership, starting to learn from how to hire a talent, or even to go and extend of how to maintain around the product's life and how to enhance it further. If we look this close life of the Canva founder, she is more or less leaning onto the creator's hat, where that she had to wear the Brahma hat all the time, and the rest of her founder co-founding members are taking a key leadership roles on maintaining the growth, driving the transformations through the technology, and even to get the continuous loop around. But being a creator, she's in a constant feedback loop with her end users, with the community, the Canva community that she has extended beyond the workforces, and the actual users are coming in and giving the feedbacks now to enhance the Canva and even to become the Canva allies or the influencers to get that Canva adopted. Well, just on the side note, I must mention that the Canva has not been the sponsor of this episode, where I've been heavily promoting them. However, they should be walking in as one of the sponsors to these episodes when I'm talking about the Brahma hat so heavily as a founder's journey, and how throughout building with the vision, the product, and the culture from the scratch can make your passion driven projects at a very different heights. And it can give you the credibility, it can give you the world class impact when you think about your passion projects from the need, with a very innovative hat. Nonetheless, moving on to the next stages of the founder, where maintaining the growth, scaling, and stabilization are also the part of founder's journey, that they have to make sure that that role is a very key strength role in terms of scaling up high, in terms of expanding it further. And unless you wear that hat of maintenance, sometimes it can sound a very mundane, very routine. Sometimes it can be very boring for the passion led founders, because for them, all the time, innovative and the creativity hat is what gives them the spark, it what gives them the joy. But what we should never underlook the fact is the maintenance and the growth and the scaling and the stabilization, that operational efficiency are one of the very key factors when it turns down the creating the system around the processes around building the right team structures, solidifying your cultural values, or even building with the values your passion project can play a humongous role in your startup lifestyle, and it can give a far better scaled up version in a very short amount of time if you can focus on this operational efficiency. Planning about delegation, planning about the management and execution takes the center stage in any startup, any passion led projects, a very key strength role for scaling up and giving you that success. So for that, initially, although you are wearing a creator's hat, a Brahma hat, which is a very fascinating hat, the coming with the Vishnu hat and going for that longest term with the persistent and a grit can make your passion project a very high scaled version. And there are different metrics that one can monitor, how you can track your performances, how you can go ahead and retrospect every time about your product growth, figuring out the loopholes in terms of marketing, positioning your product. All that thing, is unavoidable burnout, to be honest. But unless and until somebody takes it, it's not gonna scale up. Coming to that maintenance growth, reiterating all the time, and pursuing that idea one after another, trying different models of sales and marketing just to make sure that your product, when you know that it has a value, it has to be experimented out to go massive at that level. The good example that stand out for me on these lines is a Sarah Blakely who created the Spanx, who went massive with the crazy idea of Spanx, and today the women who are enjoying the most comfortable shapewears that they could have ever imagined, and at the same time can carry with the confidence a lot of apparels on top of it, is what the Spanx stands for today. Spanx is an emotion, is a comfort, and it is also a confidence story that goes starting from the founder Sarah, who went with this shapewear, came up as an innovation to her, actually. It's a story that I feel is most dear to me, considering how a passion led project can go big, can go high, and how a different shape of hats, it's a very testament of a founder story that I look at, and I feel like, if she could achieve it, anybody could do it, provided you have a passion to move further. And then what Spanx did, what Sarah did, it's her own personal story. She was selling this fax machines door to door. She was a very good at her sales. Soon she became a national trainer. And when she was invited at one of the private party, and when she had to dress up really high class and pull up everything together as a salesperson, going and being one of the faces, she figured out that, oh my god, one of the white pants that she was wearing was just not giving up a right justice with her undergarments. And that's when she actually experimented out her own undergarments, literally cutting her own pantyhose to figuring out what really works better. Going out and trying out in her own setup was a very experimental mindset that she wore as a creator, a Brahma hat, you could say. But at the same time, taking that idea, figuring out that this is a need and this is a very own personal need that every fashion statement woman would like to have. And there is no such clothing line that exists, to an extent of finding out a manufacturer and going out doing the research and taking the tour to the North Carolina all the way, paying from her own pocket, pitching this idea to the manufacturer that these are the type of a shapewears and the undergarments that we are looking forward to build, and this has got a huge market. We just need your help for manufacturing this kind of a style. Nobody could believe it until one of the manufacturers agreed to come back, and just because when he saw that some woman is coming crazily out doing cold callings with the manufacturing, paying the visits and talking about it. So he just casually took that idea to the own daughters, and that manufacturer gave a life to Sarah's Spanx. And that manufacturer's name is Ashiburo, who actually ended up accidentally pitching to his daughters, to his wife, at a family setup that some woman is looking forward to design Spanx type of a shape wears, and she's actually looking forward for the manufacturers to get this done. Some crazy idea. And when his own daughters gave a green flag saying that, oh my god, this is something, is a very important thing that she's doing, and you should back up dad. And that's where the Ashiburo actually came back to Blakely, explained that, oh my god, this idea will help you out, give a life, because I see that my daughters see the need for it. And that's when Sarah realized that this manufacturing industry, which is actually should be a need driven and a user driven industry, it is not the case. There is no such women in the manufacturing taking up the leads and moving further. And that's when she actually went massive. And the rest is the history that she created with her own foundations, with her own servicing units that can actually provide entrepreneurship, or even the women's giving a huge support. So, how she went on was a very creative story to even hear about the growth factor. Designing the shapewear, getting the life is one part, but using her all sales skilled and going to this different retail businesses, departmental stores, and pitching around, even to the possibilities of, how this is gonna change the life of a lot of women, how this is gonna make a different style statement altogether, to the point where actually Neiman Marcus group actually got converted. And how they got converted, she actually experimented out by changing the own garments, going into the restroom and coming and flaunting around a different type of fashion wears that they can actually be very comfortable, and how the transparent pants can make a different statement when there is a Spanx kind of a shape where is in the life. And that's how she actually started. She wore many hats, even to an extent where she didn't have any money to file a patent with some lawyers. She used all her ideas to file a patent. She went all crazy to figure out how the trademark office works, how the patent works, and even submitted on her own with just $750 fees with a lawyer. But most of the hard work she actually owned, starting with experimenting out, to even going with the maintenance version, to even the sales, and finding out a different marketing avenues. How she marketed her product is also a very different example to even figure out. A lot of people do the cold callings, but she's the one who actually gifted her shapewears with the box and box to the Oprah Winfrey's television program. And that's where actually, the Oprah started noticing this brand. She started using it. And when she made a statement that this is the most, one of the 10 most favorite products that I use, that's when it got a very different boost to Sarah and her Spanx. The point being not to talk about the story of a Spanx and a story of a Sarah, and what actually happened, how she turned up as one of the sharks, one of the investors, and that journey is, it just happened as a subsequent event that have come from her own very personal needs. But here we are looking out how different hats and how favorite hats can be taken out sometimes, just to make sure you go crazy with your passion persuasion and get your project at a level where it can gain a momentum, where it can gain different sort of a scaled game altogether. But for that, one has to be very much ready to wear all these different hats, and that's a very different founding pulse that one needs to have it. That pulse of craziness, that pulse of doing anything and everything that it takes to make it big, and also a pulse of positioning your products in a very different setup, going innovative and finding out the existing avenues that are there today. The Sarah's time, the influencer portals were not that impactful. The television was impactful, and she used that channel very heavily. She poured all her saving. At that time, she poured 5,000 grants from her own pocket to do all the sales, marketing, and she was on a very shoestring budget when it came down to the Spanx. But she spent heavily in the marketing. She realized the efforts of marketing. And of course, being the salesperson, she knew that what marketing can change the game. And that's where she went all in for that. She figured out on her own what are the different channels that she can avail from her pocket and, get a bigger picture in the process. Oprah being at that time one of the biggest influencer on the television who attracted the whole nation, gave her the big leg, her very own statement, because Oprah would not make any statement just because she's, encashing something. And that was her trademark. And when she embraced the product, it elevated the game at a very different angle. And these are the things that, Sarah hacked it out. But for that, she went all in. Think about it, a founder working out without any investing model because she didn't know that the investments can come in. That came in a very far stages of her life. Till then, she didn't know what the investment model looks like, what it takes to be, attract the investors, what it takes to sell the products. She went very traditional at that point of time, but being a very innovative person, down from the heart, not having the enough background of education, not having the right access in the Silicon Valley or different sort of a ball games where fashion industry or not a father figure that somebody can elevate her game. Of course, those all father figures walked into her life at a very different stature. But look at the persistence and a grit that she followed. Look at the bootstrap banters that she did. And look at the sort of collaborations that she attracted with months of series of, gifting ideas, sending lot of, using her own network, using all the celebrity campaigns as a gifting partners. Those are all the collaborations that we're talking about. And I think I also talk in the product market fit that these collaboration, the influencer marketing and the channels are one of the easy leagues nowadays. You don't have to really go that big where you have to spend a very hefty budgets also. Right now, there are different podcasters that are ready to elevate your games. They have a very secured networks. Sometimes they have very high profile networks that they can open up to you because they have been talking to a lot of celebrities. And if you go and do the paid promotions, that can give you access to those networks, that can bring up a different strategies to you. And as a podcaster's journey, I mean, if I, closely remonitor myself or retrospect my journey, what I figured out now is people are coming to us for getting a different strategies, for giving a different vision to them, giving a innovative angle to them, and also the existing network where somebody can lean on, somebody can get paired up, somebody can go with different sort of an event styling and get that innovation touch and the marketing and a very niche customer segment, a very loyal segment, and it's a worth collaboration. I'm not boasting just because I know the worth of a Passionate Pulse podcast, but the type of guests that I have been walking into right now, or the type of celebrities that I have been talking to, have given me enough length and have given me enough glasses to ponder upon that. Oh my God, this is where the people are actually looking forward to ally. This is where people are looking to gain expertise on. This is where people need the different coaching models, and sometimes they're not aware, but just with one talk or with right questioning around, they get open up very fast, their games get elevated very fast. And to talk about one example, I love to talk about the Milap story, where the Milap founders have actually been the Passionate Pulse podcast guest, have realized the worth of expansion with these collaborations. Well, if you don't know, Milap is an Indian venture and they have been massively doing the crowdfunding. Health sector is being one of the feedback that the user driven market has given them. Now they are going very massive in US, and now they have set up a different entity altogether. here in US, where crowdfunding can be looked at it in a very different shape and a factors, where they're talking about the donor management funds, the donor matching portals, and lot of corporates who can be the matching partners for the crowdfunding. And these are own donors coming from United States, working out to create an impact where now every individual can become a foundation. Every individual can go back and contribute to the community, to the causes that they relate. And sometimes they are not aware about what type of causes that exist, what type of need that exists, and how the need can be validated. So that's the story of a Milap. And if you don't know, just go on the milap.org and figure out the ways how you can give back to your community, how you can be in your own way a charitable trust, how you can satisfy your quotient of being creating the impact in a very different way. So that's one part to it. And going back and talking about this impact, that's where the Sarah Blakely has created her own Blakely Foundation, through which she's giving back to the community in a very huge way, where the 50% of her earnings or the profits that get shared to the community. And also, she's building a lot of women entrepreneurs. So, this is the Blakely Foundation work that has followed. But thinking about a founder or a founder's journey, I think she gained enough scaled momentum in lot of phases, and the way she did it is also marvelous. It is a very hand driven, innovative business that she went in, where the business solely came from a need of solving some problem that exists, and it's a very personal problem, going all in with the passion of experimental mode, going with this Brahma, Vishnu, and even at an extent of transformational and a Mahesh hat. I think she created a very scaled, globalized, and a very stabilized version of Spanx that is stands today. Every woman, every girl look at a Spanx as a confidence, and it has gone at a global stature today. And of course, a lot of things that walked into her life, we see the success part, but we are underlooking the facts that she had spent relentless nights and weekends while she was selling the fax machines. So this is a story of how you can wear a different hats, how you can go big just by looking at a maintenance, how you can move your journey from passion led projects to founder, to startup founder, to even the scaled entrepreneur. And that's the graph that you would like to look at through the Bootstrap Banter experiments. So, deep dive information and the transformations are also one of the key success factor and the formulas that I feel that comes in the founder's life. Sometimes the a lot of failures that walk in as a passion project founder in everyone's life. You can talk to a number of founders and you can figure it out that there are failures that have happened. And I talk to many of these founders on my Passionate Pulse talks and their businesses. And off the records, I gain a lot of valuable lessons from them. The every failure that they get in, how they are stepping up further, how they're taking those lessons and moving ahead. And when it came down as a transformative approach, that the transformation hat, which is a most powerful hat that any founder can pick in its entire journey. I mean, when we talk about the operational or the maintenance hat, or even to go massive with the leadership hat, which is very important, but as a founder's journey, if you fail to wear that transformative hat, you're failing to catch your failures and moving to the success ladders very fast. When I was thinking about this transformative hat and the Shiva, the most transformations that have got to the universe when everything was going in a routine and a mundane way, and something had changed very massively that have given a different angle to the whole world. And the startup that I could relate with that is Slack. When Stuart Butterfield, he was actually into the gaming zone. He was creating the multiplayer app, a gaming app known as Glitch, with his crew known as Tiny Spake, was very critical to him. But in the journey of this gaming creation, in the game creation, which absolutely flunked, and it didn't attracted the multiple users that it should have, where he had actually walked in the investors and had to pitch them back why things are not working. You know what he realized in the process, that there was a communication tool that he had built as a part of this, whole gaming experience was getting built, and it was the internal tool that they had built it for the communication purpose, known as Slack. And now that today it's a worldwide accepted communication channel, a Slack, which was positioned in a right way, and also saw the when Butterfield actually failed with the glitch and a big time failure, and when he was retrospecting what really did well, what didn't go well, what sort of things that we implemented, and when he was retrospecting on smaller lines, the smaller steps that he had taken in his venture, he realized the communication tool that they have built for the internal purpose has got a tremendous potential to go out live, has got a tremendous potential to get adopted, and even have a tremendous potential to sell with the different user engagement. So he didn't plan anything that way, but he pivoted based on the need. He pivoted when he realized that something like that can also make an angle. Being a storyteller himself, being a designer himself, being a entrepreneur himself, he could figure out the legs very quickly. And of course, there is a backing journey of Flickr, being the co-founder and everything. So probably he was stepping into the right angles, and that's where the transformative power has come to him. But after that, the Slack created the history. He made sure that the product gets positioned in a very nice fashion, not being like another communication tool, but being like solving the real problems of communication, solving the immense amount of clutter with the email, solving the right workspace innovations, the integrations that one can have, and how it can reduce your overhead of communication and bring the productive life. And of course, that is what Slack stands, what it speaks. So the product had to be positioned right, gain the right momentum, and it should do what it tells. That's the story of a Slack. But more to it, it's a story of a transformation power. It's a story of a founder who constantly wore different hats, starting with the creator to maintenance to going with the transformation and going with that different feedback loop, resonating with what exactly users are looking and coming up something new, coming up big and going crazy around that passion. So I think all these hats are very required version when it comes down to taking your passion project to a different scaled up game. And things will happen, the failures will come, but the learnings from the failures are the $1 billion learning that not a book, not a podcast, not a single story can tell you. It's an experience that has to be taken. And also at the same time, what you can do is using all these knowledge angles, going with these bootstrap angle stories, going with this banters fundas, going with different learnings of different examples, all we can do is take that experience, tune in, and use it to go ahead and blossom yourself, go ahead to transform yourself. When it came down to the transformation story, I must tell you that you must have been hearing in the Bay Area around there are a lot of robberies. Basically, the robberies happened to the jewelers, Indian jewelers, and there was series of robberies had happened in past few months. One of them, a bigger impacted guys were PNG. Now they have opened their store in Sunnyvale, and it's open with a different level of a security. And that's also when I look at the small startup story, a different experimental level and a different scaled version, you know, how the PNG started with a very small town, have the scaled up version, and today is standing with different sort of a failures. It is also a story to be heard. Someday we'll come up with the PNG founders on our passionate podcast part and we'll be hearing those stories. But looking at them, how now they have enhanced the securities and it is safe for people to their loyal customers to walk in, create a different customer base. They are doing some awesome work there. So go ahead and visit your PNG jewelers. Now that the festive season is coming up, you might want to tune in and see what's new in for you. And it is, of course, a safe environment is the most important factor when it comes down to retail now, especially witnessing the robbery that has never been in the history of PNG has hurt their brand a lot, but how they are rebranding is also a story to be talked. So go ahead and open your pockets if you're looking to be in the festive mood, and see what new offers as a returning customer, as a reopening stores. They have some very creative offers for you guys to enjoy those perks. Let me know how that experience has turned into, and if you ever heard some new fundas with them, go ahead and look at that PNG as a how with the scaled up version also. Still, they are experimenting in a very different fashion. So, coming up with the scaled up businesses, there is a very personal story that I witnessed, and it is also out there on my Passionate Pulse podcast, the Chitle Bandhu story. I actually got a chance in my India visit to tour the factory, which is almost zero point 0.2 million acre land that I witnessed, and how that system is being built to create the food production at a very world class level and differentiating brand as a chitle. And the chitles were famous that they'll be closed from 1 to 4. They'll not operate, they will not have a franchisee owned business, to breaking their own statements and to breaking their own brand statements, to taking it to the next experimental level. I look at that business is also a transformative power business where they are constantly innovative, constantly challenging their own brands, rebranding multiple times, going ahead with the times, taking the feedback into the loop, and at the same time building a system that's unbeatable. So that is also the business angle, that is also the transformation angle of a founder story that needs to be noted down. And if you haven't heard that, I must tell you that go on all the podcast channels. That story is out, especially on the YouTube where you can witness the video. Go ahead on passionatepulse.com, tune into YouTube channel, or the handle is Passionate Pulse for you. It's actually a number 4 and a letter U, Passionate Pulse for you. So go ahead and look up that handle, and also all the Apple, Spotify, Samsung, Amazon, all the podcast mediums. This story is out. You must tune in and look at it as a bootstrap banter experimentation. Hear out more wisdom pearls from Indranil, who is a fourth generation Chitle founder, but taking it at a very different level, breaking his own cocoons, rebranding the Chitle brand multiple times, starting with no franchisee, no branches to franchisees, taking it to overseas, building the factories that never have been witnessed in the Indian business history is really a structure that has put together, and how they are funding different subsidies in the same business unit is also a business story to be looked upon. So go ahead and tune to that and let me know how that episode has turned in, and whether would you like to gain more experimental bootstrap banter fundas on top of it. I'm here to help, and I'm here to guide you. So when the strategies come, when there are different strategies, as I said, like as a founder, wearing three different hats, as a creator, as a maintenance, as a transformative, are very important. But along the way, not losing yourself and not getting burnout in any of those stages is also an important sanity that as a founder has to be maintained. That's when all the time you can stay fresh. And staying fresh, thinking fresh, tapping to the fresh angles, looking at different innovative channels for marketing your products, starting with even prototype boosting. I think these are all important structural ways to look at. If you don't look that as a system, as a structure, then your passion project is not going to survive for a long. So, if you have to attempt it differently, think about it and just take a pause, take a step back, and see whether these fundas are really making sense out. The question that I would have for all of you, if you're starting your passion project, if you're building your prototype, is first to think on how I'm not burning out myself in any of my phases, whether I like to be a Brahma, Vishnu, or Mahesh in any of the journeys, or that's my personal style in, then what type of a co founder I should be attracting. Say about I'm a very innovative passion founder. I can bring in different ideas, different strategies. I'm very bored at come down to execution levels, going very deep dive and detailing out some structures, researching out. Then those are the angles that you want to tap in and define your co-founders personas. It's a very important secret that I myself I figured it out, that as a person we are never a full-fledged pack. We are never a full-fledged package. And if you are taking your passion driven bootstrap banters to a next levels, you have to elevate your games. You have to make sure that your execution legs go strong, your transformation legs go strong, your leadership style needs to be changed, finding out from your own personal style to what really works, how exact value driven structure you want to build, because that is the value driven structure can give a culture and a USP to your own ventures. Unless there is a culture, unless there is a different innovation, unless there is a different USP to stand out, whether you do the same job as 10 other products or 10 other passion driven projects, if that USP is missing, what I call it as a soul or a Atman that is missing, then that particular passion driven project is not gonna go big. So find out that soul, find out that USP, and find out these three angles to tap on in the entire journey, and figure out whether you need the co-founders or you don't need the co-founders, or also whether you need to attract the right side of a board members that can act you as your own secure network to give you the feedback, at the same time can give you a neutral palette feedback without having a stake in your company. So find out your loyal audience in whichever mediums that can work out, in whichever way you can go big. Take a step back and find out what are the existing platforms that you can avail and which are at a disposable means to you. Can you go to the podcasters? Can you go and host your own podcast? Do you want to be a podcaster where, a 15-minute segment can create a massive, massive impact in your product line? If that's the case, you want to check how the podcasting needs to be done. And for that, if you don't know anything about a podcasting and you want to start your own 10-minute segment, 15-minute segment, how you can do it, we do have a workshop for you, Podcasting 101, that can open up your 100 doors and it can give you a boost in your podcasting journey. Because I feel using these medias which are dispensable at our hands, through the social media, through the YouTube, to the Vimeos, through different radio channels, podcasting channels, which are a very easy marketing tools, a founder should be adopting those strategies. There are different AI tools we are going to talk about in the next episode that you can use to make your startup flourish on a very high note. And these AI tools can change your game, can elevate your game, and you really need not be having a huge workforce to lead upon, or huge teams to be built and initially invest in. So we are going to talk about those AI tools that you can easily avail in terms of marketing, in terms of sales, in terms of even validating your ideas. And there are different workshops that we actually host as a part of a Passionate Pulse podcast, as a Passionate Pulse community. And there are amazing AI workshops, one of the mentor that conducts. And we will be talking about that workshop near in future. But just to let you know that these things happens, you should be tuning to the Passionate Pulse podcast, and you should be tuning to passionatepulse.com to find out what are the new workshop series that are opening up. Sign up on the waiting list, and if the workshops are already over, Make sure that you get into the waiting list by writing into the feedback loop or joining the waiting list. So that way your interest remains, and when the new series are opening, you are the first ones to be contacted to, fill up those forms, and making sure that you are the qualified candidate to walk in for the workshop, because we don't entertain workshop audience just because they are interested. It has to, make a win-win situation. So we take those measures in our account. We be very vigilant about it, and we open those workshops only to the people who will make success out of it. Otherwise, it is a, it is a bandwidth loss from our side, and also a seat loss for somebody who might be, a qualified and taking it further. So do tune into passionatepulse.com if you have any doubts and want to reach out and casually check what you can do to your own passion driven project, to different bootstrap fundas, or whether you need the strategies head, or whether you need any strategy head to walk in with you, whether you need a different sort of a network that needs to be opened up through our own Passionate Pulse guest network. Make sure you go ahead and write back to us. You can write to me on pranali at passionatepulse.com, or simply WhatsApp on Passionate Pulse number 3412090102, and you can get all these help on your fingertips. Make sure you go high with your passion driven projects. Build that soul into your passion projects. Give life to your shelf project, and see the magic. See what doors you can open, what impacts you can create to your own communities. And your own needs are also the need of somebody else, because people like you exist, and these are the real people needs that we're talking about. The passion comes from some need and some innovative angles. Don't let it die. If you do that, I feel the life gets wasted. So it has its own merits, it has its own fuel. And what is a, what life is that when there is no fuel, when there are no chances to be taken, when there are not risks to be bet on, and when there are no new lives to be born out? So think about it. Go high with your passion. Stay tuned and stay with your passion. Make sure your nights, your weekends, go high with your passion, and drive your projects, take them to the bootstrap, and make that banter successful with the next walk-in steps. For any help, we are here. We'll be opening up different type of services, different type of talks, and make sure you go ahead and listen to many of the Passionate Pulse podcast guests over the YouTube and different podcast channels. It's a word story that we take it out. There are very different angles, there are very different learnings to tap on. So go ahead and listen to those Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh that you can find out in my guest, that you can also implement in your own business. And don't stop because you have to wear some mundane hats. That's a part and parcel of the journey, but at the end, it's all worth it. Hello, Passionate Pulse listeners. Pranali here, your host. Are you a business owner looking to amplify your brand's reach? Or maybe you know an expert who deserves the mic? This is your moment. Advertise with us or recommend a fascinating guest for our podcast. Dial at 341-209-0102 and let's make your story roar. Passionate Pulse Podcast, where your tales ignite. Call us now at 341-209-0102. Let's champion the spirit of positive change together. Are you ready to amplify your voice and grow your business or a personal brand? Imagine reaching thousands of listeners, sharing your passion and making an impact, all through your very own podcast. Join our upcoming workshop, Podcasting 101, designed just for you. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, a seasoned professional, or just passionate about sharing your own story, we will equip you with all the tools that you need to start your podcasting journey. Don't miss out. Visit passionatepulse.com/workshops and do secure your spot today. That's passionatepulse.com/workshops. Let's make your voice heard.